Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a quick update about cubes and relics farming in Lost Sword. If you're new to this system, cubes and relics are basically ways to level up and give passive stats to all of your characters. And to farm them, you need to dismantle gears, and the cubes you get depends on the weapons variety you just dismantled. It also gives you powders, and they are used to level up your relics. I won't go too deep in the basics here since I already covered that in details in my previous video, so if you still have questions about how the system works, make sure to check out that one first. Alright, so after the global launch, the devs introduced a brand new type of cubes and relics. You unlock these once you get further into the story. I think it's around chapter 52 or 53, and after you beat Betty's chapter, then you can start farming them and unlock Stonehenge 11. Now, these ancient relics and cubes work pretty much the same way as the old ones. They come in the same three rarities: rare, heroic, and legendary. And they still give the same kind of stats like attack, defense, and HP. And at the moment of recording this video, the level cap for them is 200, but I'm pretty sure in the next patch they will raise it to 300, just like they did with the previous set. Relics though is a little bit different, and honestly they are the one that really worth your attention. There are three new ones. First is the Mystic Gem. This one gives attack, defense, and HP with crit resistance. It's basically the Holy Grail, except instead of crit damage you get crit resistance, and if you watch my previous video you already know how important HP and defense are. Plus you're still getting attack on top of that, so this one should be definitely a priority. Second one is the Divine Stone. This one is massive. It gives you damage reduction, additional damage, crit damage, and most importantly ignore damage reduction. This one is huge for pushing high scores in Star Reincarnation and Avalon because it makes it much easier for you to build your characters there. Right now if you max it out you can get up to 10% ignore damage reduction just from this relic alone, which is crazy strong. It basically gets you much closer to the 50% you need for Avalon and Star Reincarnation thresholds, while also boosting your team's overall damage. And finally, the Sacred Tome. This one boosts all 4 types of attack: melee, ranged, magic, and PvP attack. It's a really strong relic, but I would max this unless you're already done with the others first. So, what should you actually focus on? I tried testing leveling all 3 equally versus just focusing on one by one, but honestly it takes way too long, and no one's gonna wait around for that video. My suggestion is this: because there's almost no difference, focus on Mystic Gem and the Divine Stone first. You can split your resources and level them evenly if you want, or just prioritize whichever your team needs more. For example, if you're struggling to survive and clear story content, level the Mystic Gem, or you can level it maybe around 100 first, then shift over to the Divine Stone for that ignore damage reduction and the big damage boost. There's actually no wrong choice in here, because it all depends on your team comps and your level of investment. You can do 1-1 or 2-1 or max 1 first before the other. It's up to you, but whatever you do, just don't skip the Divine Stone. That ignore damage reduction is just way too good to pass up. Once you're done with these two, then you can go ahead and max out the Sacred Tome for even more attack boost. So what actually changed now? Well, honestly not much, except for the farming strategy. This is especially important for global players. If you're a Korean or late game player, you can skip ahead to the ancient cubes part. But if you're a global player, this is how you should grind your cubes and relics. So before you unlock ancient cubes, you need to max out your regular blue and purple cubes at least. That's going to make it possible for you to clear all of the current game content, help you farm the highest Stonehenge boss you can. For example, Lance would be a nightmare for you if you're slacking on your cubes, and then prepare for the ancient farming once you beat Betty's story stage. And for that, Stonehenge 3 is still the best place to farm blue and purple cubes. Lua and Nimue are still the go-to for this stage. I covered why they are so strong and how to build them properly in my previous video, so definitely check that one out after this. Luan is also a solid option if she's your only main DPS, since she's strong and her animations are relatively fast, but Lua is still the farming queen overall. Ideally, you want to one-shot each wave. You can start with 4 units, for example Lua, Nimue, Kei, and Rhea for her attack and crit damage buffs. And if you only have Diane, she's also a good replacement thanks to her crit damage passive. And once your team gets strong enough to clear waves faster, you can actually drop Rhea or Kei or even both from the team to cut down the animation delays, which makes farming much quicker and faster. This setup should be enough for you to max out your blue and purple cubes. And for the gold cube, don't stress too much. You will naturally level them passively by dismantling your old gear or your garbage drops from your daily treasures, or even the unused loot from your boss summoning tickets. You will probably find yourself around level 100 golds by just playing the game normally at the time you hit level 300 purple cube. Now, at this point, you have two options. If your account is strong enough to unlock Stonehenge 11, stop farming lower stages and immediately switch to ancient farming. But if you can't clear it yet, you'll have to grind your way up with the regular gold cubes first. So the question here, should you keep farming Stonehenge 3 or move up to higher stages like 5, 8 or even 10? Well, back then those were decent options because of their drops, but with Stonehenge 11 out, they've become pretty much useless except for S3, which remains the most efficient one. Why? Because it's the easiest stage to farm endlessly. You only need like 2 units to deal with the mobs, and each wave spawn 8 enemies, meaning way more cube drops. Compared to the highest stages, they only give you like 5 to 6 mobs per waves, and they're much tankier, so you lose a lot of farming time and you get less chances of drops on top of that. So if you grind long enough, Stonehenge 3 actually becomes the best place overall, since you'll get a huge number of blue drops. The only thing you're really losing here compared to higher stages with fast clears is the extra gold needed to craft gold cubes from the blue ones. So basically you'll end up with more gold cubes in the long run, but you have to spend more gold as a trade-off. And in my opinion, I think that's worth it, and that's why it's the best. But if efficiency for you is spending less with higher chances of gold and purple drops, you can always test it yourself. Run maybe about 15 to 30 minutes in different Stonehenge stages, depending on your teams and the investment levels, and see which one gives you the highest returns. But for almost everyone right now, Stonehenge 3 is the best and the most efficient stage to farm before unlocking S11 in my opinion. So while you're grinding, you'll be progressing through the story, and once you unlock Stonehenge 11, you'll hit a big wall. These enemies are incredibly tanky compared to the previous ones, so I'm going to share some hacks and team recommendations and tips to help you grind this stage efficiently. And before you even start grinding ancient cubes, be prepared to spend a lot of boss tickets. These enemies hit really hard, and if your team isn't geared enough, your run will be painfully slow. So expect to burn at least like 200 tickets just to get your team in a comfortable spot. I would actually spend more because the best gear lays here, and you'll want a lot of axes and thunder hearts. And it also will help you level up your ancient cubes by dismantling blue and purple gear, so you can stay alive and take some enemies hits and deal a bit of damage to them. Once you've geared up, it's time to grind. So let's talk about the best teams for farming ancient cubes. The mobs in this domain are very tanky, so you'll be forced to run ults on. And they also shock element, which means dark units are by far your best option here. Dawn, for example, is hands down the strongest pick. The higher her transcendence level, the better she performs, and if you pair her with her card with dual blade, she just destroys these guys. Lua is also a really strong option still, but just don't give her Lisa's card because it's completely useless in this domain. Instead, give her Rand's or Anessa's card with Arondite or dual blade. And because she's extremely squishy, and especially when you first start farming this stage, she'll get a one shot almost every single time. That's why you need a little bit of healing, some crowd control and extra damage. And that's where Betty comes in. She's just amazing here. She can root the enemies, give your team a little bit of time to dish out some damage, while it also provides you with some healing and bonus DPS to speed up your runs. On my FTP account, my Betty is only T0 at this point, so she doesn't add much outside of the root. That's why I often prefer to run Dian instead. Dian gives you healing, shields, crit damage, and melee attack buffs. And since you'll be running auto ults anyway, it makes her better support for this team. And if your Lua keeps dying or you only have her at T0 and she's weak, Lucy can actually be a better option here. She isn't just dark element unit, she's tanky enough to survive the mob's attack, and her skill shreds enemies defense, letting her and her teammates deal way more much damage. When I first started farming this domain, Lucy was actually my go-to unit until my Lua got strong enough to survive. If you're using her, give her Rand card or Vengeance card, which I actually prefer a lot on her. It boosts her defense, it gives her a big chunk of attack from the card's skill as well. And for the mid row, I really love Lilith here. She's fast enough, she also applies debuffs on enemies, she reduces their attack and attack speed, and she also buffs her own attack and crit rate every time she hits an enemy. So if you don't have her or you don't have her belt, you can also use Lisa here, but her only problem is her animations are quite long, which can slow down your farming a lot. And for the back row, Tia is the strongest option. Most players have her already maxed, and since this domain is hard to run without auto ults, her skill spam is really good here for the quick clears. Oh, I forgot, Morgana is a really solid option here too, especially after her buff, but compared to Tia and Lowen, she's slightly less efficient. And as I mentioned before, it's really important to pick the fastest team for your own account, because everyone's situation is different. If you don't know which team works the best for you, you can always do small tests. Run, for example, a team for for like 5 to 10 minutes in power saving mode and compare how much gold you earned. Since drops are very random, the team that kills the most waves will generally give you the highest rewards. Another way is looking at the timer and count how many waves your team can clear per minute. For example, on this account I really like this team. Tia is the first one I'd replace since her black hole animation wastes a lot of time between the waves, as you can see, but I just don't have any better option right now. And with ultimates active, I can actually clear about like 3 or 4 more waves compared to ults off per minute, and I think after using the rest of my farming hours and some levels this week, I probably turn it off. Just a quick tip, space out your ultimates. You don't want a situation where, for example, auto delays Luan ult for way too long and she doesn't get any buffs at all, or when, for example, Lua's ult one-shot the enemies and then Tia immediately uses her ultimate to finish off one single mob with 1 HP left and stuff like that. That'd be a huge waste of DPS. So just for your first run, manually space out your character's ultimate by like 5 or 10 seconds or so. So basically when you leave it on auto, their ultimates will help clear waves efficiently without overlapping with each other. There's also a way to cheese the first waves I use a lot when farming. If you notice, when entering a domain, everyone's ult on cooldown, right? So the trick is entering the boss stage first and just clear it normally like you do, but just don't use Tia's ult until the very end. After the boss dies, leave the fight immediately and Tia will start spamming her skill and take care of the first wave while all of your characters are on cooldown. You can actually do the same thing with Eva as well and get her stacks and ults ready before start farming too. This trick can save you a lot of time and make your first run smoother. And if your team becomes strong enough to turn off ults, you can go back to your Lua K team with Lucy, or maybe even Anissa if you want, and Betty with Rhea, and grind for the rest of your life. I think that's it. At the end, don't sleep on your cubes. Grinding them will help your account tremendously. Start with your blue and purple regular cubes by farming Stonehenge 3. At the same time, use your boss tickets on your highest level stages like stage 10 for example to get really good gold gear, and dismantle your gold and trash gear to build up your gold cubes. And oh, don't forget to open up your dragon boxes and dismantle your dragon gear. At this point of the game, it won't add much to your roster. You can also sacrifice some garbage abyss gear since you get a lot of abyss shots from your daily bosses, which will help you build up your gold cubes faster. After maxing regular cubes, you will find yourself around maybe like level 180 or so. You can stop at that point and comfortably move to Stonehenge 11, which is the best and the most efficient domain to grind. And once you've maxed all of your ancient cubes and relics, you can come back and finish the regular one left. Stage 11 gives more and better drops, even if it takes a bit longer to clear the waves, so it's worth the switch. After that, you can even convert the surplus ancient cubes into regular cubes with a 1:5 ratio, but only do that when your ancient cubes reach the level 300. The same goes for relics. 1 ancient powder can make you 5 fairy powder. This will be my approach for this account too. As you can see, I still didn't finish my regular cubes yet. I'll do that after maxing the ancient ones first. Some might argue to stick with the regular cubes at stage 3 for months before moving on, but I think Stonehenge 11 in ancient farming gives better stats and gear faster, and that will benefit your account more than finishing 1 cube in 1 relic in my opinion. Oh, and one quick note before I end this video, I've gotten a lot of comments from players spending like 6 hours grinding without getting a single axe or thunderheart. You can only get them if you use your boss tickets. And if you don't know, you can check by clicking on the mobs. Regular mobs only drop Tempest gear, while the boss drop the good stuff. That's it. I hope this video helped you. If it did, please leave a like and subscribe. And good luck on your grind, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.